What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at the top 5 cards from the new Japanese set, Heatwave Arena. Heatwave Arena released just a few days ago in Japan, and it will be part of our Destined Rival set that we will be getting over in the West in May. And that set is going to be really exciting, and we see sort of the first half of that set here with Heatwave Arena. There's going to be another Japanese set, I believe, that comes out in April that will make up the rest of our Destined Rival set, but we get sort of the first half of it here and a sneak peek of that Destined Rival set here in the Japanese set, Heatwave Arena. So we're going to be taking a look at the top 5 cards coming out of that set in terms of the competitive Pokemon TCG. We'll do a rundown of those top 5 and give our insights into those cards and how competitively viable they are. But before we jump into that, don't forget to hit the like button, comment down below what your favorite card from Heatwave Arena is, and then don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well to help us grow this channel. But moving on to number 5 here, we have the new Crustle. Crustle is a stage 1 grass type Pokemon with 150 HP, has the mysterious Stone House ability that says prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon EX. Then it has the Great Scissors attack for a grass and 2 colorless energy, does 120 damage, and it shreds, so this attack's damage isn't affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. You will recognize this sort of ability if you have played the competitive TCG for a while. We have things like Mimikyu. There's also the Aegislash that has a similar ability where it prevents damage from Pokemon EX. The Mimikyu specified Pokemon EX and Pokemon V, but because we are going into rotation format where Pokemon V are no longer around, this one just says Pokemon EX. However, the reason this Crustle, I think, is going to be so much stronger than Mimikyu ever was and so much stronger than Aegislash ever was is because it has 150 HP. So most decks that have a way around Mimikyu can't quite hit 150 HP with that way around Mimikyu. For example, Dragapult EX can use Dracloak's attack to do 70 to Mimikyu, but they're not even two-shotting Crustle with that. So it's going to be a lot harder for Dragapult EX decks to get through a Crustle. And then the Crustle also just hits very good damage numbers with its Great Scissors attack, doing 120. You're two-shotting a lot of basic EXs, you're one-shotting a lot of basic Pokemon. Yeah, it's just a lot more powerful than Aegislash or Mimikyu ever was. That 150 HP is really important for it. You can even attach a luxurious cape to it, make it 250 HP, and there's not a ton of decks that are EX based that have outs to one of these sorts of abilities that's going to be able to hit that high of a damage output. So I think this Crustle is going to be very annoying for a lot of decks to deal with, and they're bringing out a lot of these cards. We have the Walls deck, we have Cornerstone Ogerpon EX, where Pokemon with abilities can't hit into it. We have Mimikyu, where Pokemon EXs can't hit into it. We have Melodic EX, where Terra Pokemon can't hit into it. So they're bringing out a lot of these wall cards, and Crustle is certainly one of the strongest of them. And so decks are really going to start having to have answers to these wall Pokemon, I think, in this post-rotation format, because these wall Pokemon are becoming very powerful, and Crustle is certainly one of the strongest ones so far, and for that reason it comes in here at number 5. Number 4, we have Cynthia's Garchomp EX. Cynthia, people's very fan favorite character in the games. Garchomp, a fan favorite Pokemon for sure. And how does its card stack up? Well, Cynthia's Garchomp EX has 330 HP, has the Spiral Dive attack for 1 fighting energy, does 100 damage, and you may draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hand. So very good draw power there. Then it has the Dragon Buster attack for 2 fighting energy, does 260 damage, and then you discard all energy from this Pokemon. So not quite hitting the highest damage numbers here with either of these attacks, and grass weakness can be a little bit scary because things like Teal Mask Ogerpon exist in the format. However, the Dragon Buster attack does discard your energy, and so even though you're weak to grass, a Teal Mask Ogerpon is going to have a tough time OHKOing a Cynthia's Garchomp EX, and it's going to have an even tougher time OHKOing a Cynthia's Garchomp EX if you have the Cynthia's Power Weight attached, where the Cynthia's Pokemon this card is attached to gets 70 more HP. That can make our Garchomp EX have 400 HP. It's going to be a monster. Now, the Cynthia's deck also comes with a few other Pokemon that make it really strong. The Cynthia's Gabite has the King's Call ability. It says once during your turn, you may search your deck for a Cynthia's Pokemon and put it into your hand. You can use multiple of those per turn, so if you have 2 or 3 Gabites in play, you can search out 2 to 3 Cynthia's Pokemon. That's going to just really increase the consistency of this deck. And then we have, I think, the card that probably brings it all together. If the Cynthia's deck is going to work out and be a competitive deck, it's going to be because of these two cards here, actually, the Cynthia's Gabite and the Cynthia's Roserade. The Cynthia's Gabite is going to increase the consistency of the deck, and then the Cynthia's Roserade here increases the damage output of the deck. With that Glory Yell ability, your Cynthia's Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon, and that stacks. So the more Roserades in play, the more damage you're doing. So if you have 2 Roserades in play, your Spiral Dive attack is doing 160, and your Dragon Buster attack is doing 320. And I think that's going to be how the Cynthia's deck is going to have to be built, is really leaning into getting as many Roserades in play as possible. So your Spiral Dive attack is doing more damage. And because of the Cynthia's power weight, we're really tanky as a Pokemon here. So the damage output is really lackluster on the Garchomp itself, but the Roserade, I think, is what's going to bring it all together if it is going to be competitively viable. I think that's a lot to put together for the deck, and a Grass weakness is a little bit tough still because we have another Grass-type Pokemon on this list that is very strong. We already saw the Crustle, which is a Grass-type that Garchomp can't even attack into, and we're going to see another powerful Grass-type Pokemon on this list as well. And so for that reason, Garchomp only comes in at number 4 from Heatwave Arena, but it has a lot of tools that it could potentially be a very powerful deck in the Pokemon TCG. Now coming in at number 3 is that other Grass-type Pokemon I was alluding to while we were talking about Garchomp, and it is Yanmega EX. This Yanmega EX is a Stage 1 Pokemon with 280 HP, has the Buzz Boost ability that says once during your turn, when this Pokemon moves from your bench to the active spot, you may search your deck for up to 3 basic Grass energy and attach them to this Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. Great energy acceleration here on the Yanmega EX, and then for 4 energy, 3 Grass and a colorless, has the Jet Cyclone attack, does 210 damage, and then you move 3 energy from this Pokemon to one of your benched Pokemon. So we accelerate the energy into play, and then we move it off of ourselves and protect it on the bench with that Jet Cyclone attack. The Jet Cyclone also hits really important damage numbers. With weakness, it's OHKOing Charizard EX. It's OHKOing Cynthia's Garchomp EX. Without weakness, it's OHKOing Teal Mask Ogerpons and Pheasantippides and Squawkabillies. So very, very powerful card here. Powers itself up with that Buzz Boost attack. And then we have a lot of great things that we might want to move that energy to. For example, first of all, we can use multiple Buzz Boost abilities in a turn. So if we switch into one Yanmega and then Jet Energy into another Yanmega, we can get 6 Grass Energy out of the deck in one turn that way, which is just really, really crazy energy acceleration. And then with that Jet Cyclone attack, we move 3 energy from this Pokemon to one of our benched Pokemon. And that can be a great way to power up different attackers. For example, Iron Hands EX attacks for 3 colorless energy with that Ampy Very Much attack. So it does 120, and then it takes an extra prize card if it knocks out your opponent's active Pokemon. And so we can power up Iron Hands EX with the Yanmega's Jet Cyclone attack. The other card that is really powerful, and I'm sure there's a huge list of cards out there that you would be happy to power up with Yanmega EX, but another very powerful card that we have is the basic single prize Regigigas with the Jewel Breaker attack for 4 colorless energy, does 100 damage plus 230 more damage if your opponent's active Pokemon is a Terra Pokemon. So just a great one prize attacker into Terra Pokemon that we can power up with the Yanmega EX. I think this card has a lot of potential. The questions to be answered are, what are the best things to power up with it when we move that energy back to our benched Pokemon with the Jet Cyclone attack? But certainly the Buzz Boost ability is super strong, and the Jet Cyclone attack itself is just strong enough that it's one-shotting a lot of important Pokemon that I think Yanmega EX is going to be a very strong contender, at least from what we've seen so far from the Destined Rivals set. Now coming in at number 2, we have a new Shaman, and at first glance this thing doesn't look like it would be that strong, but it has a great ability, that Flower Curtain ability, prevent all damage done to your benched Pokemon without a rule box by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. When rotation happens for the Journey Together set, we lose Manaphy with that bench barrier ability that kept our bench safe from snipe attacks, and so we are living in a format post rotation where we don't have a bench barrier to protect us from something like the Torrential Pump on a Wellspring Ogerpon EX. And now when Destined Rivals comes out in May, we will regain that bench protection. But this time it's a little bit different. It's on an 80 HP Pokemon, which means we can't Buddy Poffin to find this Shaman. And it only protects non-rule box Pokemon from that bench damage. So our rule box Pokemon like Pheasantippides, Squawkabilly, those sorts of things can still be attacked with while they're on the bench, but it will protect our smaller HP basic Pokemon like our GPs, our Charmanders, our Hoot Hoots, those sorts of things will be protected by this Flower Curtain ability. And this is such a strong card, protecting us from that bench damage, which I think could become a menace without that ability. It just is so strong that Shaman is coming in at number 2 here in our Heatwave Arena top 5. But coming in at number 1, we have Ethan's Ho-Oh EX. Ethan's Ho-Oh EX, 230 HP, a fire type basic Pokemon with the Golden Flame ability. Once during your turn, you may attach up to 2 basic fire energy from your hand to one of your benched Ethan's Pokemon. Then for 4 fire energy, has the Shining Feather attack, does 160, and you heal 50 damage from each of your Pokemon. So probably not going to be used for that attack, but that ability is very, very good, especially when paired with some of the other Ethan's cards that we've gotten in this set. Ethan's Adventure says search your deck for up to 3 in any combination of Ethan's Pokemon and basic fire energy and reveal them and put them into your hand. So we can find our fire energies, attach them to our Pokemon with the Golden Flame ability on the Ethan's Ho-Oh. Then we have Ethan's Magcargo. If this Pokemon has no energy attached, it has no retreat cost. And that's really important because our Golden Flame ability only works to benched Ethan's Pokemon. So we can send up our Ethan's Magcargo and then just retreat it for free as long as there are no energy on it. But the Ethan's Magcargo is also a very strong attacker. It has the Lava Burst attack for 3 fire energy. It says discard up to 5 energy from this Pokemon. This attack does 70 damage for each card you discarded in this way. So up to 350 damage by discarding 5 fire energy from the Ethan's Magcargo. And that's fairly easy to power up. If you have 2 Ethan's Ho-Oh EX in play plus an attached return, you power up Ethan's Magcargo to be doing 350 damage, which is very, very strong on a single prize Pokemon. The other interesting thing is obviously we can only attach to Ethan's Pokemon, but in the Scarlet and Violet base set, we did get this Fire Off Armarouge that has the Fire Off ability that says as often as you like during your turn, you may move a fire energy from one of your bench Pokemon to your active Pokemon. So we can use Ethan's Ho-Oh EX to accelerate a bunch of fire energy into play onto our Ethan's Pokemon, and then use Armarouge to move those to non-Ethan's Pokemon, like Regigigas, like Iron Hands, like Charizard EX, like the big one from Pokemon 151, not the normal Terra Dark one. But lots of different things we can do with the Armarouge's Fire Off ability by moving those fire energy around. And for the strength of that Golden Flame ability and all the options it gives us, Ethan's Ho-Oh EX comes in here at the number 1 card from Heatwave Arena. I'm really excited to see how things pan out for the rest of the Destined Rivals set. Hopefully we get some reveals here in the next couple weeks, so stay tuned to the channel for that. But if you like this video, don't forget to like the video down below, comment what you think the best card is from Heatwave Arena, and then don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you guys in the next video.